Will AI replace the digital agency as we know it? Will it replace people's jobs? Is the question I get all day long. AI can be scary to some, but it also can be one of the most amazing things for you. And we share that with you on the Smart Agency Masterclass. How are you guys using AI in your business right now?
Oh, man, you're opening a can of worms.
Are you allowed to say?
I have been knee deep in it for a while, and I am huge on prompts and buying prompts from really good prompt engineers and figuring out, taking processes from 16 hours to an hour. But there are stipulations to this. So I'm testing everything AI that I can and slowly rolling things out to the team. But, and there's a big caveat here, you have to have an agency champion if you're going to let your team use AI. That's the big thing, is you have to, it's a tool, it's a means to an end. It's not the only, like, you have to have that human interaction, human oversight, almost treat it like an employee that's super efficient, because it does. Sometimes it just puts out garbage, but the prompts, I have prompts that are a page and a half long, but they get me great results. Now, a lot of people, like you, Darby, you said, can't you tell us? Well, there are people that are anti-AI, but we use Ahrefs, we use SEMrush to cluster topics. It's another tool, and it just happens to be at a different level than the tools we use now. But you have to know how to use it, just like you have to know how to read the data, because it can be dangerous if there's no oversight. But I want to use it everywhere possible.
So when it comes to the prompts, did I hear you say buying prompts? Because I don't know about you, Jason, but I've not heard of purchasing prompts prior to this. I may be under a rock when it comes to that, but that threw me for a second.
Well, I've seen them, and it's more of kind of like, and I'd love, Jeff, you to tell us more about it, but I've seen them from kind of the 20-year-old kids that think they've figured out, they were like, this is the secret prompt. And I'm like, like, I've never seen any content from them before, but Jeff, tell us, why are you buying prompts?
Okay, so Jason, do you remember Richard Sheffrin?
No.
Back in the day, he was the guy that brought us Ryan Dice and all those guys. He was with John Reese. He was with everybody, but he was the OG when they were coming up.
Okay.
He's still around. And I bought access to a video course he had, but the key thing was there were all these professionally built prompts. And even Dan in our group, he has those prompts that were built by a top prompt engineer. So there are millions of prompts on Twitter that if you follow me and retweet and say prompt, you'll get 12,000 prompts, and they're all one-liner.
Yeah.
I'm building out prompts that give complete context. Like when I tell ChatGPT, you're Gene right now, it knows it's Eugene Schwartz, because I went through an entire thing teaching it about Eugene Schwartz. Or not only that, but I will give full context and a full background of everything tied to what I want my output to be based on. And then I ask ChatGPT to repeat it back to me to make sure that it's not making things up and it fully understands what's happening. But I didn't understand all the ins and the outs of the context and the answering question or asking it questions about what you've just fed it until I started buying more advanced premium prompts. Anybody can put together a sentence, and most of these prompts you get free on Twitter are a sentence. It's a question. Well, great. But let's really dig into doing this the right way. I have a prompt I copy and paste in that explains exactly every single step of the awareness ladder. Instead of just saying, give me all the pieces of the awareness ladder for this, I explain exactly what I'm looking for, and defining it. and it just gives you better results. But like I said, it's like having an employee. You really have to give it a lot of direction, and it gives way better results and answers, not with everything, but like you just mentioned, I think the consumer research part of it and getting in the mind. Oh, that's the other thing. You are a professional digital marketer and a master. What is it? A master in human psychology, or something like that. And it's the insights from a consumer research point of view are just off the charts.
How are you leveraging AI? Because every time we chat about AI with you, I'm always just so fascinated. I'm like, what? Like, I thought I was ahead, but like, I feel like you're 10 times ahead of everybody else. So how are you leveraging AI right now?
The first question I ask myself with any new technology is, what does this enable us to do today that we couldn't do yesterday? What most people do is they look for the low-hanging fruit. They look at, what am I doing right now that I can now let AI do? So that's why the vast majority of the use cases seem to be around content. If I'm writing emails or I'm writing things, what can I do? But one thing is, I'm not a developer, and I am right now building and running software code scripts on my computer every day that ChatGPT wrote for me. They're probably not secure to deploy. They're probably not good enough to sell. I'll just give you one very simple example. Right this minute, I had to build out a scraper for a massive website with about 10 million pages. And all the tools keep on timing out. It takes too long to do. And so I had to kind of reverse engineer their URL structure. And I've got 2 scripts running on my computer right now. That's basically, I was able to deconstruct how their URLs were created. And, these are location-based URLs. And just using Python and a script that I don't even know what it's doing. Somehow I'm ending up with these spreadsheets with like all these URLs. And then we can now, on top of that, use, I'm using a tool called Horseman for my scraping, which I found on GitHub. I never looked at GitHub before I had ChatGPT. Now I literally just copy and paste the GitHub page and say, tell me how to use this. Pretend, I basically say, I'm a newbie on a MacBook Pro. I don't know what I'm doing. Tell me how to run this software. And it tells me how to run it step by step. And I've never opened the terminal on my computer 4 or 5 months ago. And now I'm in it doing 20, 30 things a day with it. So I'm getting massive leverage from it just by asking for help in things that I'm doing and things I don't understand, things I want to learn. I don't have to go hire somebody or delegate it. I just have to, kind of know how to ask the question. I think AI today has what I call a last mile problem, where it gives you a great output, but if it's not in the place where you're using the output, now you have to copy and paste it, or like you really want some, right now today, I think these large language models are probably good at replacing 30% of any workflow that someone has. If you just went through your SOPs, there's probably 30% of those steps you can automate now with these tools, but you need it to integrate with your systems. And people using Zapier, like that's expensive. Make is much cheaper, and I prefer that. But Notion, you're working in the final product where you can now publish this live. You can whatever you want to do with it. It's very versatile. So I really love and it's so quick.
Sam Woods, I don't know if you follow him. He writes a marketing letter called The Bionic Marketer. And if you're going to follow one AI resource, Sam is the one to follow. Like, it's amazing the stuff that he's putting together. But he's developed software that he uses. It's not publicly available. He's been working on it for several years. And you put in a few prompts of your industry, your avatar, some basic things, and it spits out an entire marketing campaign. All the copy, all the ads, all the headlines, all the landing pages, completely done. And so he's been doing this for several years for a bunch of companies. He sold his agency a few years ago. And he says that 100% of the time, it beats the control. Every time. Now, we've run over 2,000 split tests in my agency. If we can get like 40% of the time we beat the control, we're like ecstatic. If you were at 70%, you're doing something amazing. 100% is unbelievable. Like, it's mind blowing that they're that good. And it's 10 minutes of work.
So how do, as agency owners, because I get a lot of questions, people are like, will AI replace me? And I'm like, no, I think AI will, the people that use AI will replace you. But what are your thoughts? How, as agency owners, can we get ahead of this, or at least, use this as a really beneficial tool?
So as I mentioned, our agency's been using AI for 2 to 3 years. That's exactly when we started. Back to GPT-1, we were using that to write ads for us. And so we came up with an internal plan. And I would say the very minimum, just big picture, if you're running an agency, you need to plan over the next 12 to 24 months to double your business in terms of revenue, double your output in terms of services you provide for your customers, and not increase your prices, and not hire any new team. So it's something like a 4x output minimum. How are you going to do that? Well, essentially, you're going to have to build the technology that does the stuff that Sam did in completeness, whether that's writing the ads, developing the avatars, creating the copy, developing your value propositions. There's so many pieces to automate that you can piece them together with different tools. I mean, every single day, new AI tools are coming out that create videos for you. So instead of just sending out an email to your clients or for your clients, if you're doing email marketing, you help them put together a personalized email that comes from Jason that says, hey, Brian, and that's completely automated, even though it feels like it's completely personal, right? And those types of things are all possible today. You have to figure out how you're going to integrate them into your business. And again, I think a 4x minimum with the same staff, same pricing is what every agency needs to do. Because if you're not considering that, the companies that do are going to take the lion's share of the business. So I do think you're going to see a lot of jobs replaced. And I do think a lot of agencies aren't going to survive that. But I also think the ones that do are going to do so much better. So I'm super excited about the opportunity, as we all should be. As long as you know what's coming, you can plan for it, you're going to get ahead of the people that aren't paying attention, right?
And actually, I think it's going to come even quicker than everyone realizes. I mean, a lot of times, I guess a couple months ago, everyone was going on AI, just using it as like idea generation, come up with a good title.
Right.
Now people are getting really good with it and training the hell out of it.
Yeah, and there's multiple stages to it. So yesterday, the day before, my brother does most of our AI work, Greg. He just released to our team, he said, hey, we've got 500 plus standard operating procedures, how-tos and things. How do I integrate the call tracking with analytics, with our split testing tools and all that kind of stuff? So just tons of operating procedures over the last decade. And so he created a tool that reads our operating procedures, and you just type in a question, right? Like, what's the value we assign to a call, or what length of call do we credit as a full lead, right? So it's like minimum 60 seconds and hasn't called more than X number of times. And it just goes through all of our how-tos and spits out the answer. It's not indexing it like a search. It's actually finding the answer and telling you the answer. So, that's an internal tool that's going to help us be so much more efficient in going and finding those things as we need them. Video, we use a lot. So whether that's a video meeting to clients or something, you can transcribe those, you can use that information. Well, now his tool, we could feed those transcriptions into it. In any meeting we have with people, we'll be able to reference and search and look for the information and spit out the summary. I mean, all of these tools are currently possible. So it's way beyond just, hey, what do I do to write better ads? Although that's crucial. Every aspect of your business can be changed.
I hope you enjoyed this content. If you want more content like this, make sure you click on the link on the screen or check out your most popular podcast platform where the full episode is there. And until next time, have a swank day. What are you doing? Go check it out. Click on the link. I'll see you soon.